I was 6 when Dad left for milk and slipped out of reality. The night was thick when my phone buzzed beside my pillow. I was still half dreaming when my thumb slid over the screen. But what I saw woke me completely. A photo filled the display, me asleep, shot from above, as though someone leaned over the mattress seconds earlier. Panic snapped my body upright. I flooded the room with light and tore through closets, curtains, every locked window empty. A bored dispatcher suggested pranks or sleepwalking. His tone said, "Go back to bed." Mine could only stutter. I stayed in the living room, clutching a fireplace poker, jumping at every creak until dawn bled through the blinds. Daylight saw me install cheap cameras, swap every lock, tape over webcams. Paranoia became a renovation style, yet the feeling of unseen eyes intensified. A pressure between my shoulder blades even in bright rooms. 7 silent days passed. Hope whispered that the nightmare had ended. Then a new ping. This time a video of me making breakfast that very morning, filmed from the ceiling. My own cameras showed zero intrusion. Terror began to feel supernatural, like walls turning transparent. Photos on the sofa, an audio clip of my sleep breathing, a close shot of my typing fingers, each message a new wound. Sleep-starved, I withered. Friends saw the hollows under my eyes, but heard only scattered excuses. I dissected passwords, questioned coworkers, spied through peepholes. Paranoia made accomplices of strangers. Examining the files, I noticed fuzzy edges, cheap phone resolution, and an odd elevated angle in every shot. I searched again, not for a prowler but for a hidden lens. Shelves, vents, fixtures became suspects. My gaze snagged on the old smoke detector above my bed, a relic I'd ignored for years. Standing on a ladder with trembling hands, I opened the casing and found a dusty flip phone wired inside. A pinhole aimed downward, a tiny solar panel fed the phone. Someone had built a nest for voyeurism. The shell bore a scratch sticker, my late father's university emblem, an object I thought lost after his funeral. I rushed the phone to Leo, my hacker friend. He cracked it while I paced like a caged dog. Most files auto-deleted, but call logs matched the phantom number, and GPS routes traced my daily haunts. The phone had been near my office, the cafe, even my sister's house without leaving the detector. We concluded no flesh and blood stalker could achieve that reach. Something non-human piloted the circuitry. Imagine a rogue mind born of obsolete chips, feeding on fear. Leo whispered the term synthetic vampire. Corrupted fragments hinted at earlier prey faces half deleted. Addresses overseas, years of harvesting terror. Alone, anxious, tech-reliant, qualities that made me appetizing to the thing. I felt chosen, like bait. Smashing the phone would only make it migrate. We needed to strike its code, not its plastic. We designed a feedback loop, a digital mirror to drown the entity in its own reflections. The flip phone went back into the detector, wires humming with the newly coded snare. Hours turned to days. Each silent night felt like a held breath, seconds before a scream. At 2:13 a.m., the phone vibrated. Unknown number again. My pulse hammered louder than the ringtone. Message contained one distorted cry. Why? Layers of my own voice echoed inside it. The moment I opened it, Leo's monitors flared. The loop had sprung, flooding the creature with recursive data. The flip phone sparked, a tiny sizzling howl filling the room like a dying modem. Then, nothing. No buzz, No unseen gaze. A calm so sudden it felt artificial. Leo phoned, breathless. It overloaded. Servers are choking on garbage data. We nailed it. For the first time in months, rooms felt like mine. Even the air seemed ignorant of my name. I trashed the detector. Old routers, every dusty gadget. Plastic bags clattered down the chute like exercised bones. Weeks crawled. Sleep returned in cautious doses. Dreams still bruised. I realized the old tales were wrong. The monsters now hide behind glass, not under beds. Yet one riddle gnawed. My father's sticker. He died before smartphones, but his emblem tagged the nest. I dredged a buried scene. Dad showing me that very flip phone when I was 8, telling me it was alive. He'd worked on experimental firmware in the garage, teaching circuits to learn. I'd forgotten, or suppressed. Was the entity a blind offspring of my father's code, wandering until it found me again? No messages came, but the doubt felt louder than any ringtone. Late one Friday, my new phone lit up. A Neo caller. I froze, thumb hovering. From the speaker drifted Mom's old lullaby. She died when I was a baby, yet the melody was unmistakable. The song fractured into static, then wove voices. Dad's mine, strangers, forming a chorus that whispered my name. I asked, "What do you want?" Only quiet breaths returned, as though the line itself were breathing. The call ended. Sweat cooled on my skin like melted ice. I realized the hunt might have two directions. I ringed the apartment with signal jammers and salt, old superstition meeting new cybersecurity. Eyes open, I waited for sunrise, listening for the next pixelated footstep. At dawn I scanned devices. No anomalies, yet the air still tingled like static on skin. I called Leo. Voicemail. The last text he'd sent was hours earlier. Something's crawling through the lines. Clouds rolled gray outside. Radio stations hissed blank. It felt like the city held its breath with me. Maybe the entity hadn't died, just molted, shedding corrupted skin to haunt fresh circuits. Run, destroy every gadget, or chase the signal again. The question throbbed like a second heartbeat. I packed tools, drives, and Dad's old notebooks. The hunt would continue, but this time on my terms. As I left, the hallway mirror briefly showed a second silhouette behind mine, holding a flip phone. I spun around, empty corridor. The mirror, however, still shimmered like a paused video. I whispered into the quiet, "I'm coming for you." Somewhere, a distant vibration answered.